What is going on, everyone? Tim from Tierfon Orbital. So today's demo video is going to be for an install commission that I completed on an MPP from KR Sabers. Now, I have talked at length and how much I love this kit from Cal and company over at KR Sabers. It is a phenomenal hilt up and down. All right, so accuracy wise, for those accuracy folks, I know you're out there. It is a very dedicated replica for an MPP. For installers such as myself, even the DIY folks, this is a great hilt to install on. I can't say that enough. It is an awesome hilt to install, to design a chassis for. I mean, there's plenty of room on the inside of this thing. However, the things such as the custom PCB, switch PCBs that were designed for this make chassis design and install very easy, right? So I love this hilt. I've seen the Graflex kits that come from KR Sabers as well. It's the same with the Graflex kit. They're just very install friendly, very accurate as far as prop replicas go, right? So they're just great. It's just a phenomenal product. I need to slow down. I'm talking too fast today. It's just a phenomenal product out of Saber Armory and KR Sabers, as always, right? So anyhow, with all of that out of the way, we are going to come into Fusion and talk about this chassis really quick. This is the hybrid. I have installed this with a hybrid chassis that I designed for this hilt. However, this is the CFX variant of this chassis, right? So we are going to come into Fusion, talk about the chassis really quick, and then we will come up top and do the whole thing, right? So with all of that out of the way, let's come into Fusion. All right, so here it is. This is the chassis, hybrid crystal chamber reveal chassis for the KR Sabers MPP. That was a mouthful. Let me get a sip of coffee here. Slow it down a little bit, Tim. All right, so this is the full kit, right? This is the chassis as well as the PCB holder and pommel pusher or pommel sleeve thing that I designed for this kit. All right, so we're going to start at the bottom. A heck of a lot of room on the inside of this hilt. It's a lot. It's a 32 millimeters on the inside of this thing. So there's a lot, right? 15. Yeah, 32 millimeters. I had to do make sure my math was correct. A lot of room on the inside of this thing. So much room to play around with, right? So we've got a fully enclosed 28 millimeter speaker down here. I do also have channels for NeoPixel strips. Now, pay no mind to these like lenses. This is just decorative. I put this in for the like the drawing glams for this chassis, right? This is just a decorative kind of lens. Kind of would look cool if it wasn't a real lens. Now that I think about it after the fact. I don't know how I would get that in there. Anyway, so there are two channels along each side of the chassis for 2020 NeoPixel strips. All right, here is our battery cover. The battery cover is held in place with some neodymium magnets. Around the back, we have our board. So this is a CFX build. And now that I'm looking at this chassis, this is the Profi board chassis version of this hilt. Let me we'll get a shot of the CFX chassis really quick. Here's the CFX chassis. Same chassis. It's just obviously got cutouts for the giant board that is CFX, right? But anyhow, other than that, all the other parts are the same. Okay, huge chassis. So up top, we have our crystal chamber. Okay, all of these parts were done in polished rhodium brass. I felt as though that really went in line with the chrome-plated brass on Vader's hilt. However, if you want one of these in regular brass, we can do that too. But this is done in polished rhodium. All right, so here is the crystal chamber. With this crystal chamber design, I wanted to do something a little bit more industrial looking. I tried my best. Okay, what I'm finding is I think maybe other chassis designers can probably appreciate this, right? As I'm zooming into this part, I'm reminiscing about what I went through when I designed this chassis, and what starts to happen with me is when I'm zoomed in on a part and I start doing all these really tiny granular details, this doesn't always come out in the cast, or it's just so small that you never really see it anyway, right? I love filling every square inch of space with some sort of ridge or detail. But you know, I think there comes a point where for myself, I can almost get lost in the design where I'm just like starting to zoom in and I'm zooming in and I'm zooming in and I'm adding stuff. And like, it's just at some point, these are like, you're talking about, you know, microns small, or even like a half a millimeter, you know, that don't always come out. So it's just something I guess I need to think about when designing chassis. You know, some of these details are just actually too small. But anyhow, just a thought I had. Chassis, industrial, a lot of points, ridges, towers. I put 4 of these posts in the chassis itself. These posts are hollow. All right. I wanted to get these lit with some lenses up top. All right. I could not find LEDs that were dome LEDs, rather, that were small enough to fit in these tubes. All right. So what I ended up doing was, for these installs, I use an SMD LED. All right. And I print my own resin lenses. So these are all resin in the final print. Underneath them are SMD LEDs that blink and pulse. Okay. Crystal is also done in red translucent resin. I, again, feel as though that gives a great contrast with the polished rhodium brass. All right. And then on each side of the crystal chamber, I do have some rectangular LEDs. Okay. Up top, PCB holder, cap. It just kind of gets epoxied into place, and that is what holds my 6-rail PCB that makes a connection to the upper part of the hilt. It actually makes a connection to this PCB holder. All right. So this PCB holder is held in place in the upper section of this hilt. Okay. It's held in place with a set screw. I have a hole here so I can pull out my switch leads and wire up that custom switch PCB on the internal core or sleeve of the hilt. All right. Pommel pusher is down here. This keeps the speaker from the bottom of the pommel or the bottom of the grip. Now, you could totally make an even bigger chassis, right? I mean, you could totally do that. The thing with MPPs, however, is sound resonance is always an issue. So I wanted a cap that really helps to create a vacuum, make that speaker work a little bit more efficiently, get a little bit of a more decent resonance chamber down at the bottom of the hilt. So that is what that is down below. Okay. And that is it. That's the chassis. Let's come up top and take a look at the hilt. Okay, so here it is. This is the MPP from KR Sabers. A fantastic hilt. This is in ESB, or Empire Strikes Back configuration. To you, the customer, I have not put on the micro flash plate on this. I am going to leave that decision up to you. It is part of your kit. It will be in the box with its very, very tiny microscopic screws. So if you want to put that in place, you can do so after the fact. All right, but I have left that off. Again, this kit is just an absolutely great hilt. I have one in my collection as well. The Saber Armory, KR Sabers, has done a really, really great job at staying dedicated to accuracy while also making this a user-friendly experience for folks that want to do a DIY build, who want to install the hilt themselves, right? To you, the customer, I have added your grip fins, obviously. I have assembled your bubble strip, okay? For these installs, what some people might find is these bubble strips are a little bit too big for these clamps. All right, what I like to do for my builds, not just this one, but most of my MPP and Graflex builds, I have only glued one side of this bubble strip. So if you want to loosen this clamp, you can do so. Just keep in mind that it will stay attached to one side. So you can still loosen that if you want to. It's just glued in place so it's not sliding out, right? And then I added your wires as well. Okay, these are just like plastic decorative wires that slide really easily into pre-drilled holes. Okay, great kit. Here's the chassis. All right, chassis was done in MJF nylon, and then as I mentioned, all of these upper shiny parts are rhodium plated brass. Okay, so there's the crystal chamber. Let's get ahead. Let's go ahead and put a battery in this. This already has a battery, but we'll go ahead and go over how to put the battery in place as I start throwing things around. Spring side is your negative in this build, okay? That is down towards the speaker. This will take a button top 18650 battery. Put that in your battery tray. So this was already on, obviously. All of the parts are held in place with neodymium magnets, okay? Here is the crystal focus board. Now, I'm really liking doing crystal CFX boards, CFX board installs. Maybe that's because the ones that I've done recently have had just plenty of room to put the board and to like work with wire management. But there's the CFX board, okay? As far as wiring is concerned, these side LEDs or neopixels, these are wired to LS2 on the board. The crystal is wired in line with the blade, just so you know, the customer. These side LEDs are wired to one of the sequencer pads, and these SMD LEDs are wired to a sequencer pad as well. Okay? I've set this up with swing to activate. So there is that crystal all lit up. You can kind of see those posts animate as well. Okay. This was also set up with twist to deactivate. So a quick flick of the wrist will turn off the hilt. Okay. Once you're ready to put your chassis inside of the hilt, I'm actually going to leave this off so we can come down to the bottom and get a closer look at the chassis. But there it is. There are those posts again lit. See if hopefully that's coming out on camera. Yeah, there they go. Okay. So let's come down to the bottom. Okay, so there is the chassis. I think having those posts in the crystal chamber is a very unique and different touch, right? Oh, there we go. Still getting used to CFX config. Like full disclosure. I know as an installer I should know both boards or all boards inside and out, but I still have a little bit of trouble with CFX, and that's probably because I just don't do that many of them. I do want to give a little quick shout out to my boy Jeremy from KR Sabers for helping me out with this config. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you. So we're going to go ahead and put this chassis in the hilt. I have unthreaded the grip. Okay. It does not matter what orientation you put this chassis in. Just know that it is not quite a press fit into the hilt, right? So this chassis, because it is so heavy, it will drop out of this hilt if you have it tilted down. Okay, so just keep that in mind, right? Chassis in, grip in place, thread that all of the way down until it stops. Okay, you are ready to go. This top button, the aluminum button, is your main. All right. All right, so that was the blade plug that I clearly did not have secured in place. Right, so one of the things that I've always noticed about MPPs, and Graflexes for that matter, there is just so much room down here. You have to be aware of resonance for speaker sound as well. And the pommel cap, a lot of the times this is blocked off, right? But KR and Saber Armory have done a great job at designing a pommel cap that is good for sound resonance, right? So what I'm getting at is this hilt sounds great, okay? So we're going to go ahead and put a blade in it. Okay, now this will take a 1-inch blade. So go ahead and rest your blade on those PCB pins. Just above this S here is a set screw. So go ahead and tighten that down to secure your blade, okay? And your blade plug when you have it in, and you are ready to go. Okay. So this has just been set up with the stock font package that comes with CFX, but we'll scroll through a couple of them. So,
sound bank selection. Nightfall. Crystal focus.
Yeah, this sounds great. Great, great feeling Hilt, great sounding Hilt. When I'm swinging around MPPs, I actually like to choke up on it because we all know how uncomfortable it can be to hold a MPP and a Graflex on the grip, right? Okay. One more. Oops.
Sound bank selection. Crystal focus. Nebula.
But that is it. That's the MPP. From KR Sabers. These can be purchased from the Saber Armory. I highly recommend. All the products from the Saber Armory are fantastic and phenomenal, right? So anyhow, to the customer, thank you very, very much for your support and patience. This will be going in the mail to you either today or tomorrow. If anyone has any questions about this particular chassis or wants one, they can be found in the hybrid chassis section of my website. That is all I've got. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. And with that being said, may the force be with you always. Have a good one, everybody.